nominate Honorable Tajuddin Abbas.
I so second.
I rise to humbly accept the nomination.
Is hereby declared the winner and returned elected as the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
There is need to tackle the challenge of underfinancing of agricultural value chains.
Lawmakers urge Central Bank of Nigeria to assist small-scale farmers. And House donates 100 million naira to victims of tanker explosion in Jigawa State. Many thanks for joining us on this fresh episode of House Tickets, a weekly program on the workings of the House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Discussions in plenary during the week in review from 22nd to 24th October 2024 saw various people-oriented motions and bills, amongst which is a motion which saw lawmakers rising with one voice to condemn the criminal operation of the one-chance syndicate in the nation's capital, Abuja. Other topical issues tackled during plenary bordered on agriculture, sports, and other matters. These make up our package of House Tickets. Do join us again after this time out for the full program.
Hi, about that The House will pay priority attention to participatory budgeting process and delivery, law reform, electoral reform, women's participation and inclusion in governance, among others.
Now on the program in full. Lawmakers sat in plenary for 3 days, being 22nd to 24th of October 2024. During this time, bills and motions were passed and adopted after deliberations. One motion which garnered a lot of interest was a motion seeking to reposition the Nigeria Incentive-Based Risk Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, NISAL, to the risk agribusiness across the country. There were bills also considered and passed at different stages. For details of these and more, let's take our first report as compiled and presented from the studios.
When the House resumed for plenary last week, it debated the general principles of a bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to review the description of Islamic law in the Constitution and for related matters. It was sponsored by Representative Aliyu Bappa Misau. The Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Benjamin Okezie-Kalu, presided over the session. In leading the debate, the lawmaker stated that the 1999 Constitution as amended only focused on the personal Islamic law and did not envisage the dynamism of other components such as the introduction of the Islamic international and commercial laws and therefore the need for the amendment.
What I'm requiring is the removal of section, the removal of personal in section 24 of the Constitution, section 262, section 277, and section 288, so that other relevant laws, like the public, the commercial law, Islamic commercial law, the Islamic company law, the Islamic international law, can have a place in the Constitution.
Nigeria has never limited.
There was a robust debate on the bill.
My colleague, Honorable Misau, is calling, I think, is in the right direction to give a backup for the commercials and other laws that already they are practicing without proper backing, particularly in our Islamic-related financial institution of not only limited to Taj Bank or Jaiz Bank, but there are several banks that are now practicing, particularly the Mudahara and the other sharing formulas. I think this is a very welcome development that it will give even an economic leeway for the nation to see the goodness of such practices.
The section you're referring to, if it is removed, the word personal is removed, the implication immediately is that Islamic law will now have a general application with respect to criminal law across the country. The word personal there was put for a purpose. So if you remove it, that's the implication. It will have great consequences. So we can look at the details of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, and advise at the committee level. With respect to the references made to Taj Bank and Jais Bank, their operations have not been in any way hindered. There are regulations dealing with those matters concerning banks, CBN Act, and all the rest of them. So those are matters that the banks can deal with.
The moment we allow the Constitution to be altered to take care of all manner of interests, we will no longer be in the state where the sanctity of the Constitution is respected, and the intent of the drafters of the Nigerian Constitution via or as regards to the secular nature of the Nigerian nation might be threatened if we allow this to go on.
The bill is calling for description of Islamic law. In other words, the bill is seeking the House to define, because of the existing situations now, looking at the issue of, like he rightly caught, other commercial laws that have not been embedded, that have not been taken care into the Constitution. I think it's a straightforward bill.
Nigeria has never limited anybody from practicing his religion. By the time we begin to expand it and bring it into our constitution, we are not an Islamic state. We're a secular state. We're not a celestial state. We're a secular state. We are not a traditional worship state. We're a secular state that respects and gives everybody a sense of belonging.
The problem of religious war, we started as far back as 1938 in this country. Let it not start here again. Let it not be that it is this house that is going to put fuel to the very fragile democracy, to the very fragile situation, the unity between us.
The bill intends to review the description of Islamic law, which means it's already enshrined in the Constitution. What it seeks to achieve is to review the description. So it's already in the Constitution. I don't understand why we will see it as something that will lead to snowball into a crisis or what have you.
For that same singular purpose of the unity of this country, the peace and stability of all of us, I second this motion, since it has gotten to this point, that this bill be stepped down for this moment, so that we can do elaborate engagement and get back to it.
The bill was stepped down for further consultations.
The nays have it.
Permit me to seek the leave of the House to suspend.
Moving on to motions adopted in the week in review. A matter of urgent public importance, sponsored by Representative Haruna Ismaila Dabo, spoke on the urgent need to check the operations of criminal one-chance taxi operators in Abuja that led to the death of his legislative aide, Ms. Naima Suleiman.
One Ms. Naima Suleiman, a legislative aide of Honorable Dabo Ismail, was kidnapped and brutally murdered on Thursday, 17th October, at gunpoint at Banex Junction in Wuse 2 by one-chance operators. Recalls that despite paying ransom in full, her life was tragically cut short. Her body was found between the hours of 9 to 10 p.m. at Maitama Ministers Hill Bridge in Abuja.
The resolution on the motion called on the House Committees on Police, FCT, as well as that on National Intelligence to conduct a comprehensive investigation and liaise with the necessary stakeholders such as the FCT Minister, the FCT Commissioner of Police, as well as the DGDSS to ensure the problem is brought to a halt. The motion was referred to the House Committee on Police, FCT, as well as that on National Security and Intelligence after which the House observed a minute silence in honor of the deceased.
May her soul rest in peace.
Mr. Speaker, dear colleagues, I rise under the combined...
Still on motions, Representative Afam Ogene moved a motion calling on the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to sensitize Nigerians on the non-legal tender status of the old Naira notes beginning from January 2025.
Going by the Supreme Court's subsequent ruling and order, the 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira notes shall cease to be legal tender, medium of exchange for goods and services in Nigeria, and shall also cease to be in circulation as from January 1, 2025. Concerned that the Central Bank of Nigeria has not shown any sign of sensitization or kickstarted any awareness program to remind Nigerians about this important economic policy in order to make them prepare for the deadline of December 31st, 2024. Worried that Nigerians will be plunged into more chaotic situations than what happened in February 2023, when the old 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira notes shall cease to be legal tender.
The House, while adopting the resolutions of the motion, urged the CBN to issue more new notes before beginning the gradual withdrawal of the old notes, and that banks should stop paying customers with old notes, but with new notes only. The lawmaker then called on the House Committee on Banking Regulations to ensure compliance and report back to the House within 21 days.
Those in support of this motion say aye.
The motion was voted on, adopted, and referred to the House Committee on Banking Regulations.
That this matter is urgent.
From the order paper for the week, several people-oriented motions were adopted, one of which was titled Repositioning Nigeria Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, Nat'l, and De-risking of Agribusiness in Nigeria. This was on Tuesday, 22nd October 2024. The motion was sponsored by lawmaker Uchenna Harris Okonkwo.
The agricultural sector, which accounts for 40% of the nation's gross domestic product (GDP) and provides for over 60% of employment, has experienced slower growth recently and is underperforming despite enormous potential. The House is convinced that to reverse the trend, there is need to tackle the challenge of underfinancing of agricultural value chains by providing Nat'l with an additional $3 billion for lending to agricultural value chain actors across Nigeria. The House is cognizant of the need to reduce bank breaks, even interest rates to agricultural value chain borrowers from 7.5% to 10.5%.
In a resolution of the House on the motion, the Central Bank of Nigeria has been urged to increase agricultural lending by banks from 1.4% to 7% of total lending within the next 5 years. Ensure 50% of lending to smallholder farmers through microfinance institutions, farmers' cooperatives, and the Value Chain Commodity Association at an interest rate of 7.5 to 10.5%. The House also mandated the Committees on Banking Regulations, Agricultural Production and Services, Nutrition and Food Security, and Finance to monitor compliance and report within 4 weeks for further legislative actions.
Their interest is high.
Lawmakers made contributions to the motion.
The CBN recently inaugurated a new board and management for Nat'l, and I think this is a very, very timely motion to be able to give them guidance on how to be able to fulfill their mandate. As we know, food security is very important, and access capital is very important for small holder farmers.
The Nigerians are not partners in Nat'l. The reason is that their interest is high. It's too high for Nigerian farmer to approach them. In as much as we are asking for more money for Nat'l, the committee that will be referred to should also look at the interest rate Nat'l is giving out to Nigerians.
I think Bank of Agriculture should be included. There is no way you can talk of smallholder scheme, loan to farmers without talking of Bank of Agriculture. So Bank of Agriculture should be included.
Those in support of this amendment should say aye.
The motion was voted on, adopted as amended, and referred to the House Committee on Banking Regulations, Nutrition and Food Securities, Finance, as well as that on Agricultural Production and Services.
The ayes have it.
Glad to have you stay tuned. Before the break, we brought you a summary of legislations during plenary for the week spanning 22nd to 24th of October 2024. We'll go over to the committee rooms on this segment, starting with the engagement of the House through its Committee on Sports as it interfaced with the Minister of Sports and Development over sports administration and development. Details of these and more coming in our next segment as compiled and presented from our studio. Tuesday, 22nd October 2024, saw the House Committee on Sports in an interactive session with the Minister of Sports to discuss challenges concerning sports administration and development.
Honourable Minister, we have a referral from the House.
In his remarks, Chairman of the Committee on Sports, Representative Kabiru Ahmadu Mai Palace, said the committee was interested to know the roadmap, challenges, performances on the 2024 budget, amongst other issues of the ministry.
Considering that the 2025 appropriation is on the pipeline coming, I think the general overview of the ministry, if you give us that, will really help us and guide us of where to go. We already have your submission here, the performance of 2024, which I believe every member here got a copy. While you highlight, we go through them for questions and contributions from members.
That football is Nigeria's greatest sport.
In his presentation, the Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Eno, stated that the ministry had earlier designed a strategic roadmap that is captured in 6 letters. Speaking on challenges of the ministry, the minister had this to say.
In the last couple of weeks and months, I've always referred to the fact that if the current Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, as governor of Akwa Ibom, didn't build a stadium in Uyo, Nigeria's football matches that are CAF and FIFA organized will not be taking place in our country in terms of the home matches. We'll have to be going to a neighboring country. So that is because that is the only stadium, that's the only sports facility that is approved by CAF and FIFA. So the challenges in this sector are as basic as that. The challenges of facilities and infrastructure. I mean, I'm not talking about this outside funding. If you look at our strategic roadmap, issues of funding are implicated. The funding for sports.
He spoke on the 2024 budget of the ministry.
In the 2024 budget, for which mainly this session was called for, I mean, I recall that the experience I've had in the interactions I've had with the federations is that federations are not funded. If you come to my office, Mr. Chairman, on a daily, regular basis, I get tons and tons of files from the close to 40 sporting federations asking for one form of funding or the other. If you check the budget of 2024 as passed by the National Assembly, there is no funding for any of the federations. There's none. What we tried to do, given my background in budget and appropriation, was that in preparing the budget, we said, look, let's see whether we can have a lump sum for sporting activities for 2024. That lump sum was captured in the 2.6 billion or so that was appropriated.
What is our crime?
Lawmakers took turns to ask questions.
In a summary, please, can you highlight us what have you achieved? What have you achieved as a Minister of Sport Development? Wasn't your short time of stay? Because we had all the challenges, everything and what have you.
The concessioning of the National Stadium in Lagos, that was started about 2012 and has been long lingering. Don't forget, I'd already mentioned the fact that government alone would not be able to continue to fund, sports. So a concession, program was begun in 2012. When I became minister, the progress hadn't been, been made enough. But I'm happy to report that the ministry has concluded that, working with the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, And as we speak, there is a memo in Cabinet Office awaiting the final endorsement of that concessioning. It's a big achievement for this government that finally that concession has been concluded.
Some of the athletes who you refused to allow or whatever it was, and they didn't compete for Nigeria, they have gone to other countries and they won medals. Several of them, Mr. Chairman, won medals for other countries bearing our names. What is our crime?
I think that there are numerous reasons why, because of the state of our sport and the sector, we are also not able to, retain our sporting talents. They keep, going around. You can't stop them. Let me report that, the Paralympic team only had out of about 25 or so of them, only 1 or 2 are based abroad. The remaining, all of them are based in country, and they are the ones that at the end win us more medals. So there are other things, that some fundamental, profound things that I believe that we need to be able to examine.
Looking at the percentage of performance, there was this payment of these staff salaries for both Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport, which is yet to be separated from IPPS platform. Please want to know, how can you report this in your books, and what have you done to get this separated? Because I'm wondering, when you are preparing your books, especially the man in charge of finance, how do you report this in your financials?
Okay, we prepared our budget on the personnel on 2024. It was now matched together and presented to IPPS, for which payment had been made directly by the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation.
It's unacceptable.
The lawmakers, however, frowned at the discrepancies and typographical errors in the document submitted by the ministry.
This document is not acceptable.
Main important thing, Honourable Minister, is this typographical error that need to be considered, please, when next you are submitting another document to us.
This is a check of 100 million naira.
The committee, on behalf of the House, presented the Nigeria Olympic and Paralympic Committee with a check of 100 million naira only ahead of preparations for the upcoming Olympics.
The preparations of next coming.
In another development, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, on Thursday, 24 October 2024, led a delegation from the House to Jigawa State to commiserate with the people and government over the petrol tanker explosion, which led to the death of over 170 persons at Majia town in Taura local government area of the state on Tuesday, 15 October 2024. The House delegation, which was at the government house in Dutse, the state capital, sympathized with the governor, Malam Umar Namadi, over the unfortunate incident. The Speaker then announced the donation of the sum of 100 million naira from the members of the Northwest Caucus and other zones to the victims of the tanker explosion. In response, Governor Umar Namadi expressed appreciation to the Speaker and the House for the visit and show of generosity and brotherhood. He then assured that the donation will get to the affected victims. Let us keep those feedbacks coming in through questions and comments and observations as it concerns the workings of the legislature, and we will do our best to get them answered by your representatives. We also urge you to send in videos as well of the benefits in your communities through the various constituency outreach programs facilitated by your representatives in the House. You can reach us through the various channels showing on your screen. And if you missed this episode of the program, do catch up through our social media platforms on display. Stay safe and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.